Marc Snuffy is the master striker of Ubers, and he's got some really cool nicknames like the Crown Messenger and the Phoenix. These names fit perfectly with his playstyle and how he takes control of the match every time he steps onto the field. But more than being a star player, Snuffy is also an amazing coach and mentor, which you can see in how well coordinated the Ubers team is. So hold on tight, because starting with Snuffy, we'll be introducing you to every player in Italy's Ubers. Snuffy's playstyle is completely different from players like Chris Prince or Lavinho. He's more of a watchman, focusing on maximizing his team's effectiveness rather than scoring goals himself. Every move he makes ensures his team follows their tactics perfectly. It's not about him scoring, it's about his team dominating. That doesn't mean Snuffy isn't a threat though. Even Noah, the world's #1 striker, doesn't have a clear way to deal with Snuffy when he's on the field. Noah's advice to his team is simple: weather the storm for 3 minutes, or they'll likely lose. Bastard Munchen's answer to Snuffy is Raichi, who does his best to limit Snuffy's plays, but Snuffy always has more options up his sleeve. While Noah might be the better striker, Snuffy is on another level when it comes to being an all-around player. He even incorporates jujutsu techniques into his playstyle, using martial arts principles to refine his skills. On the field, Snuffy doesn't just play, he takes control of the entire game. Snuffy's ball-keeping skills are world-class, and his strategic positioning makes him almost impossible to stop, even when players like Isagi and Noah try to shut him down. Plus, his metavision might be even stronger than Isagi's or Kaiser's. Even if Kaiser can't predict Snuffy's moves, stopping him is another story because of Snuffy's physical abilities, off-the-ball movements, and his knack for finding blind spots. Snuffy truly is a nightmare to face on the field. When Snuffy starts a play, there's no stopping the pace of the match. He trains his players to keep working non-stop, never giving their opponents time to think and always staying level-headed when designing their goals. If one strategy doesn't work, Snuffy has plenty more ready to switch into during the game. Now, let's talk about Snuffy as a mentor and what Ubers is like as a team. For Snuffy, football isn't just a game, it's a job. While Bastard Munchen values extreme rationality and Paris X-Gen prioritizes singularity, Snuffy treats Ubers like a corporation. The matches are business deals. He's the president, and his players are the employees. When Snuffy first met the Blue Lock players, the first question he asked was, "What does football mean to you?" This question is crucial because Snuffy understands what it's like when football, a dream for many, is suddenly taken away. Among all the Neo-Egoist League master strikers, Snuffy stands out as the best mentor. From the start, he studied every detail about his players, from their playstyles and abilities to their strengths in offense or defense. He crafts detailed strategies for them, and has complete confidence that if they follow his plans perfectly, they'll win. If they lose, however, Snuffy takes full responsibility for the outcome. One of the most fascinating things about Ubers is how close-knit the team is. They have the best relationships among all the teams. Even Nico jokingly calls Barou a princess, and Aiku treats Barou like a buddy. This camaraderie shows in their gameplay. Isagi even describes Ubers as a single unified organism. Their movements are so coordinated and all the players are always on the same page. Compared to Bastard Munchen's chaotic tactics, the difference is night and day. Snuffy even criticizes Bastard Munchen's style, calling it not beautiful because it lacks the functional unity that his strategies demand. That said, Snuffy plans to retire soon. During the Neo-Egoist League, Barou emerged as the most suitable striker to lead Ubers and become the center of Snuffy's strategies. Snuffy even goes as far as asking Barou to try playing under his philosophy and invites him to become his successor, the next king of Ubers. Somehow, Snuffy sees his past self in Barou, a player who relies solely on his talent. That's why he's so determined to get Barou to adapt to the team's philosophy. Snuffy knows that if Barou doesn't change, there might come a time when he's no longer seen as a genius. The real question is, will Barou be able to love himself when that day comes? Years ago, Snuffy was in the same situation. He had a best friend named Mick, and together they celebrated incredible success, even winning a championship. But that success marked the beginning of their downfall. They skipped training, dealt with injuries, got involved in scandals, and eventually lost their places as starters. Snuffy believed the only way to climb back up was to start over, even if it meant joining a mid-tier team. Mick, however, couldn't accept that idea. He refused to change his lifestyle, unaware of how much it would cost him. One day, unable to bear it any longer, Mick decided to end his own life. Snuffy and Mick had shared a dream to win all 5 major soccer leagues and become the kings of soccer. Even after Mick's death, Snuffy vowed to fulfill that dream on his own. Once Snuffy wins the Series A league with Ubers, he plans to retire and focus on being a coach. But Barou's challenge changed everything. When Barou dared Snuffy to keep playing, it reawakened Snuffy's ego. He decided to postpone his retirement and continue chasing his dreams. Because for Snuffy, there's no doubt he is the best player in the world. Quick timeout. Before we dive into Barou and analyze the formations and strategies that make Ubers one of the top teams in the Neo-Egoist League, if you're finding this video helpful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Now, let's kick off! Shoei Barou is the main striker of Ubers and the player set to take over as the leader of Snuffy's team. Even before the Neo-Egoist League, Barou's skills were already outstanding. During the match between Blue Lock and Japan U20, Barou was Ego's trump card and a huge threat to Isagi, even in the early stages of the series. But once he joined Ubers, Barou took his game to an entirely new level. Barou's signature move has always been his mid-range curve shot, which became his main scoring method, especially in the anime. However, during the Neo-Egoist League, he recognized a major weakness in the shot. If the opponent figures out the timing and motion, a world-class goalkeeper can block it with ease. This realization pushed Barou to evolve his game and forced him to adapt and create a more dangerous offensive method: the stealth kill shot. The idea behind this attack is simple: shoot the moment the opponent lowers their guard, not when he wants to shoot. It's a move that requires teamwork, as Barou relies on his teammates to create openings. He positions himself in spots where the goalkeeper can't see the ball, and in that split second of confusion, fires off a shot before the goalkeeper can react. This strategy became Barou's formula for success. When opponents are distracted by his teammates, Barou takes full advantage and slips through unnoticed to score. It is with this move that Barou's instincts as a predator awakened, and he developed his predator eyes, a type of vision that focuses entirely on 1v1 moments with the goalkeeper, all for the sake of scoring. Barou's growth didn't stop here. Throughout the Neo-Egoist League, he became more than just the team's main scorer. He even started passing and contributing to the defense of his own accord. Gagamaru couldn't believe it, and he had this really funny reaction asking, how did they get Barou to do that? When he first saw Barou passing. Hiyori had a similar reaction when Barou helped him out in defense to stop him, giving Nico the chance to recover the ball. Still, Barou hasn't abandoned his dream of becoming the king. While he's now a team player, his loyalty remains solely to himself. His teammates adjust their tactics to complement his style. When Barou took over Snuffy's team, it became a flawless combination of a king leading a perfectly designed army. One interesting fact about Barou is that he actually rejected Snuffy's invitation to become the Uber's successor. He heard what happened to Snuffy's friend, but Barou was sure he wouldn't end up like him. Besides, Barou wasn't interested in becoming the king the easy way. Barou disagreed with Snuffy's philosophy, calling it a weakling's mindset. He thought Snuffy was just a coward scared of the future. If Snuffy wanted to use him, he'd have to adjust to Barou's philosophy instead. However, thanks to one Uber's player, Barou eventually accepted Snuffy's offer, but only under certain conditions. Barou wouldn't work for Snuffy as a successor. Instead, he would help him become a striker who would surpass him. To achieve that, Barou demanded that Snuffy help him become the king of the footballing world. For a while, Snuffy's strategies worked well for Barou. They helped him score many goals and win against strong teams like FC Barça and Manshine City. Barou's performance even earned him a 100 million value, but it still wasn't enough. Eventually, Barou decided to terminate his agreement with Snuffy. The turning point came during Uber's match against Bastard Munchen, where Isagi stopped Barou's goals 4 times. Barou realized that if he kept following Snuffy's plans, he'd never surpass Isagi. Worse, Barou admitted that he only went along with Snuffy to learn his techniques. All this time, he'd been waiting for the right moment to crush Ubers. Now that he had awakened his predator eyes, Barou decided it was time to take over the team. Abandoning Uber's formation, Barou used Snuffy's team for his own goals. His teammates had no choice but to follow his lead and adapt to his plays. Barou acknowledged that Snuffy had created an elite team and that the environment was like paradise. But to Barou, paradise wasn't enough. He believed that comfort held him back and that true growth required walking a thorny, destructive path. Barou was fine with being an uncontrollable, chaotic brat. If he failed to become the world's #1 king after all that, he was ready to stake his life on it. This mindset was very similar to Mix, which might explain why Snuffy ultimately agreed to help him. What's really fascinating is that despite everything he said and did, Barou doesn't want Snuffy to retire. He wants Snuffy to keep playing, at least while Barou is still on the field, so they can settle their score one day. Barou's ultimate ego is to define an era of football as its king and destroy anyone who dares to challenge him. Throughout the Neo-Egoist League, the players of Ubers have become Barou's arms and legs, and among them, Don Lorenzo serves as the team's heartbeat. Known as the Ace Eater, this new generation World 11 player is notorious for completely shutting down the enemy's best attackers. As the center back for Ubers, Lorenzo dominates his role. He's often referred to as the world's strongest center back thanks to his exceptional positioning, physical strength, and vision. Lorenzo's ability to position himself perfectly makes it almost impossible for opponents to execute their plays. Even someone as skilled as Kaiser struggles to find scoring opportunities when Lorenzo is on the field. True to his nickname, Lorenzo locks down every team's ace and marks them relentlessly. Against Bastard Munchen, his unfortunate target is none other than Kaiser. Interestingly, the only time Kaiser manages to score is when Lorenzo tries to intercept Isagi's pass to Yukimiya. That slight opening allows Kaiser to enter the flow state and pull off an incredible goal with his Kaiser impact, something he couldn't do when Lorenzo was marking him. Kaiser's flow state in that match is one of the most insane things that happened in the Neo-Egoist League. And actually, flow state moments like this are some of the most exciting highlights in Blue Lock. You're in luck because we have a video that explains every flow state moment in the series, so you might want to check it out. Speaking of players with unique mindsets, Lorenzo takes things to another level. Lorenzo has an interesting habit of judging a player's value or skill level based on how much they're worth. He sees people as money and believes there's nothing in this world that money can't buy. For example, Lorenzo identified Kaiser as the ace of Bastard Munchen because he is worth 300 million at the time. Back then, Lorenzo thought of Isagi as being worth only 50 million. But when Isagi scored the winning goal and defeated Ubers, Lorenzo admitted that this moment was worth 100 million. When it comes to skills, Lorenzo isn't just about defending. He excels in counterplays, dribbling, and playmaking. In fact, Lorenzo is the main reason why Ubers operates as a highly aggressive and well-organized team. One of his key moves is the long-range zombie counterattack, which uses his unpredictable zombie-like dribbling to throw the field into chaos. This strategy requires Lorenzo to switch from center back to midfielder, which creates confusion and helps Barou stay hidden long enough to execute his stealth shot. While Lorenzo takes the spotlight, Barou gets his chance to shine. Lorenzo's ability to shift positions is a crucial part of Uber's gameplay, and their strategies and formations are worth exploring further. Despite his tendency to view players through the lens of their monetary value though, Lorenzo also has a good side, especially when it comes to Snuffy. When Lorenzo found out that Barou rejected Snuffy's offer to become his successor, he decided to talk to Barou. He shared the story of why Snuffy continues to play and the dream he had with Mick. Lorenzo explained that Snuffy is searching for a striker to carry on his legacy. To convince Barou, Lorenzo opened up about his past. Lorenzo was just a kid from the streets who had a rough life and was on the verge of death when Snuffy found him. Snuffy invited Lorenzo to play football, and Lorenzo's first response was to ask for money. That request marked the start of their business deal. Thanks to Snuffy, Lorenzo had his teeth replaced with gold, and his days as a player began. Lorenzo admires Snuffy for being someone who never abandons the less fortunate and is willing to give them a future. This conversation ultimately convinced Barou to agree to work with Snuffy, though under his own conditions. Later, when Barou decided to terminate the contract and take over Snuffy's team, Lorenzo wasn't upset. In fact, he was hyped. He found it exciting and even helped Barou with his plays. And when Snuffy chose not to retire because of Barou's challenge, Lorenzo was genuinely happy. Ubers used an interesting strategy against Bastard Munchen that required Lorenzo to switch positions with one of his teammates. That teammate was none other than Nico. Throughout the Neo-Egoist League, Nico plays as Uber's midfielder. However, in one of their defensive systems, Nico transitions to center back while Lorenzo takes over the midfield. Here's how it works. Ubers start by pressing the opponent and funneling them toward Lorenzo, who's lying in wait. Once Lorenzo takes possession of the ball, Nico drops back to center back while Lorenzo joins the offensive play. As a defender, Nico knows his role inside and out. He's often seen coordinating with other defenders and pressing opponents alongside one or two teammates. Under Snuffy's system, Nico's defensive skills have only gotten stronger. Another strategy Ubers employs involves slowing down their offense. They focus on maintaining possession and gradually moving up the field while waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. What's unique about this strategy is that they expect the ball to be stolen. The moment it happens, they immediately pick up the pace and apply a high press on the player who has the ball. Isagi barely has time to use metavision before Nico swoops in to steal the ball. This entire sequence is part of Uber's plan, and once they regain possession, they execute a quick counterattack. Nico also has an ability that enhances his defensive skills, metavision. His main strength is his ability to read the field and use that information in his plays. With metavision, Nico can intercept the ball from angles the enemy doesn't expect. In fact, he's been using the skill subconsciously. While tracking the ball, Nico also keeps an eye on Isagi's movements. When he saw Isagi in a dangerous position with the ball, Nico dashed in and intercepted the play. Nico's analytical metavision functions similarly to regular metavision, but allows him to calculate the odds of success for his plays. This makes his field reading more accurate and helps him stop opponents. However, his metavision isn't complete, so he can still miss details and be outplayed by stronger metavision users. As a midfielder, Nico's playmaking abilities are solid too. While the positional switch formation between Lorenzo and Nico is impressive, Snuffy designed another interesting strategy called the Berserker formation. In this setup, Lorenzo and Nico work together offensively. Nico uses his vision and playmaking while Lorenzo relies on his unpredictable zombie dribbling. Together, they dominate the midfield with fast tempo plays. When Barou took over the team, Nico adapted to the new playstyle. He even mentioned enjoying the new dynamic, admitting he liked working with Barou as their new president. This was partly because Barou supported him during defensive plays. Oliver Aiku, who once captained Japan's U20 team, now plays as a center back for Italy's Ubers. Like Nico, Aiku knows his role in the team very well. He's been performing exceptionally in defense, even managing to stop Noah at one point, though he didn't completely prevent the ball from reaching Isagi. Some even claimed what Aiku did was a foul, but there was no call from the referee. Aiku is a key player in Uber's defense. He's ready to block Kaiser's shooting course or limit Isagi's scoring chances. He also works well with Nico and RU Jubei to slow down the opponent's offense when needed. During the match against Bastard Munchen, Raichi was persistently man-marking Snuffy, but Aiku stepped up. He knows that his job is to recover the loose balls to keep Uber's offensive plays alive for Barou. In the Neo-Egoist League, Aiku still uses Metavision, and it was during the match against Bastard Munchen that he truly unlocked his full potential. From the start of the match, Aiku had been analyzing the field and tracking every player. With Metavision, he saw through Isagi's strategy and successfully shut it down. In fact, the combination of Aiku's Metavision, high-level defensive skills, and physical prowess allowed him to outplay Isagi, who was also using Metavision. When Barou took over Snuffy's team, Aiku was the first to join his rebellion. He believed that with his own skills and the tactics Snuffy had drilled into him, the team could adapt to any attacking pattern Barou wanted. Aiku has also grown closer to Barou during their time with Ubers. He even enjoys teasing Barou. For example, before the match against Bastard Munchen, Barou dyed his hair with red highlights in preparation for his rematch with Isagi. Aiku couldn't resist poking fun at him, calling him out alongside RU and Nico. RU joked that Barou was acting like a girl the night before a big date, while Nico joined in by calling him a princess. Shuto Sendou was a striker for Japan's U20 team with Aiku, and in the Neo-Egoist League, he's become a stronger player. He's currently ranked 13th and worth 37 million, which translates to around 240,000 US dollars. During the match against Bastard Munchen though, Sendou was subbed out at one point. In the U20 match, Sendou acted as a second striker, and his ability to perform this playstyle well allowed him to take on the same role in Ubers. Sendou has been seen many times assisting Barou, not just in offense or with his passes, but also by coordinating with other teammates to make it easier for Barou to score. In fact, Sendou, along with two international players, plays a key role in the multi-coordinated high-press strategy that Ubers uses. Even though he's an offensive midfielder, Sendou transitions smoothly into defense when needed. One of the best examples is when he and Fukaku Jin worked together to stop Hiyori's shot from hitting the goal. Another one is when Sendou tried to steal the ball from Kaiser to prevent him from scoring. Unfortunately, Kaiser was too skilled, and the attempt failed. To make things worse, Sendou ended up with a cramp in his left foot, giving Snuffy the chance to enter the match. Sendou was subbed out, Snuffy joined the game, and later, Sendou re-entered for the rest of the match. But Sendou's most iconic moment came during the match against Manshine City when he scored the winning goal. In this match, Aiku blocked Nagi's shot, stopping Manshine City from scoring. Barou took possession, and with Nico, launched a quick counterattack. Unfortunately, Barou's shot was blocked by Chigiri, but luck was on Sendou's side, and he managed to score the decisive goal. Kanali is the main goalkeeper for Ubers and serves as the team's last line of defense. Unfortunately, like many other goalkeepers in Blue Lock, he doesn't really have any standout moments to brag about. He couldn't stop Isagi's lefty direct shot, which led to Bastard Munchen's first goal. And he also failed to stop Kaiser's powerful Kaiser impact. Even though Kanali might not have those hype moments, it's still important to acknowledge that he has the skills to hold on to his spot as one of Uber's starting players. The only issue is that when he tried to stop Kaiser's shot, he ended up injuring his ribs and he had to be subbed out of the game. The player who replaced Kanali was Jin Fukaku, the goalkeeper for Japan's U20 team. His skills and game sense have really improved in the Neo-Egoist League, and he's now worth around $180,000, according to the latest Neo-Egoist auction rankings. Snuffy has faith in Fukaku's ability to step in and replace Kanali during a critical time for the team. During the match, we see Fukaku improving in how he commands his teammates, helping them shut down the opponent's attacks. He's also gotten better at covering dangerous spots and working with other Ubers players to stop the enemy's offense. However, despite all of his improvements, Fukaku wasn't able to stop Isagi's winning shot, and Ubers ended up losing the game. Jubei Ryu plays as a defender for Ubers and is a key part of many of the team's defensive strategies, especially the ones that focus on slowing down the enemy team's attacks. In the anime, Ryu is the type of guy who does everything in style and wants everything to stay stylish, and that continues in the Neo-Egoist League. For Ryu, football is everything. He's more than willing to use his main weapon, which is his long range and high jumping power to help the team's strategy, even if it means he's not the one scoring the goal. That being said, Ryu still has his moments in the league. As a defender for Ubers, his job is to take out the flies, and he makes great use of his stylish jumping ability to help his team regain possession of the ball. Kyohei Shiguma is a minor yet interesting character who doesn't get much screen time in the Neo-Egoist League. He was part of the 6th clear team with Raichi and Gagamaru and was actually famous for his nickname, Titan God Warrior, even before he joined the Blue Lock program. Interestingly, he appeared alongside other famous players like Aomori's Messi and Shonan's Predator. Shiguma, along with 2 other interesting minor players, choose to play for Ubers during the Neo-Egoist League, and we'll talk more about those 2 in a bit. Shiguma's main strength is his impressive physique, which even caught the attention of Raichi and Gagamaru. He showed off his strength during the Blue Lock tryouts before the U20 match. A lesser known fact about Shiguma is that he's a rude grandma's boy. When Chigiri teamed up with him, he was surprised by how Shiguma shut him up, revealing that his grandmother told him not to talk to strangers. Yukio Ishikari also chose Ubers as his team during the Neo-Egoist League, but like Shiguma, he wasn't able to be a key player for the team either. Unfortunately, Yukio remains a reserved player for Ubers, so we didn't get to see him use his massive height advantage against other teams in the Neo-Egoist League. He's actually taller than Ryu, but it seems Yukio doesn't have the skill set to contribute to Snuffy's designs the way Ryu does. You might not know this, but Yukio actually appeared in episode 1 of the anime and later became a reserve player for Blue Lock 11 in their match against Japan U20. If you want to learn more about him and the other Blue Lock 11 starters and substitutes, we've made a video that explains each one in just 25 minutes. Be sure to check it out. Shingen Tanaka is similar to Yukio and Shiguma. He's a reserved player for Ubers who hasn't had the chance to show his full potential in the Neo-Egoist League either. All we really know about Tanaka is that he was part of the 6th clear team with Shiguma and Gagamaru. He has skills for both attacking and defending, but he can struggle against taller opponents, like when he tried to beat Yukio to get the ball. In the manga's 12th volume, there's an omake that reveals Tanaka's vulgar personality. He's not shy about showing his boogers to like-minded people like Wanima or Igarashi, but for Ryu, that's definitely not stylish at all. Drago is one of the many Ubers players who didn't originally come from Blue Lock. He's a key player for many different formations Ubers uses and someone you can expect to play a big role. Some examples of systems where Drago is necessary include the ultra center focused defensive formation that traps the opponent with an immediate press from 2 or even 3 players. He's also part of the play where Lorenzo causes confusion on the field and the multi-coordinated high press that shuts down Isagi, which we mentioned earlier. Drago doesn't mess up his passes and uses them to help Snuffy or Barou's plays. As one of the original Ubers players, Drago is also great at working with the team's highly coordinated counterattack. What's interesting is that when Barou took over the team, Drago yelled and asked what in the world he was doing. Still, he ended up helping him and was really happy when Snuffy decided not to retire thanks to Barou. Piran is also an important member of Ubers. Like Drago, he plays a key role in many of Ubers' formations. Some examples are the long-range zombie counterattack led by Lorenzo, the slow-paced offense before the multi-coordinated high press, and the quick attacking pattern with Drago and Nico when Raichi was man-marking Snuffy. Interestingly, Piran thinks Barou is insane for terminating his contract with Snuffy just to play for his own ego. But just like Drago, Piran is happy that Snuffy won't retire just yet. Abdi is also all smiles when he hears that Snuffy decides to back down from his well-planned retirement. Abdi is one of the original players for Ubers, playing as a defender. He takes part in several key team strategies, such as the all-out attack when Lorenzo switches positions with Nico, the multi-coordinated high press with Sendou and Drago, and many of Ubers' defensive systems. For example, he helped the team defend against Yukimiya and Isagi's plays and later guarded Hiyori with some help from Barou. However, Abdi and one other player actually struggled when they faced Hiyori with his metavision and nasty dribbling. That one other player is Rico, who plays as a right-wing back for Ubers. He's essential for the team's offensive and defensive formations too, including Lorenzo's long-range zombie counterattack. There were a lot of interesting reactions to Barou taking over Snuffy's team, but Rico's reaction is definitely one of the best. He straight up curses at Barou and says exactly what's on his mind, with no filter at all. Of course, Rico is also happy that Snuffy won't have to retire as a player just yet. But now that you know about every player in Italy's Ubers, you need to learn more about all the teams battling it out in the Neo-Egoist League, like Bastard Munchen and Paris X Gen. Lucky for you, we've got a whole series breaking down each Neo-Egoist League team, so go ahead and click on the videos on your screen now.